All right, welcome to Talking Investing. I'm Tom, and as always, this is not financial advice. We talk about the Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin all the time on this channel. If you're new to this channel or if you have not yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Also, you can become a member of the channel by hitting the join button on the YouTube page. The join button is right next to the subscribe button. We have a catalog of members-only content that you'll have access to immediately if you join. Every Tuesday after the market closes, we also do a members-only live stream. On that live stream, the members get to choose a company for me to do a deep dive video on. So we've had a lot of excellent companies. We have a great time, and I appreciate anybody willing to support the channel. So love to see you over there. Let's talk about Greenidge. Okay, so just to take a quick snapshot right now, Greenidge is trading at about 83 cents per share at the moment. Their market cap is about $37.5 million. So this is down dramatically, and I'm going to review that in a few minutes. This company is worth pennies on the dollar of what it was worth a year or a year and a half ago. So this has been a very, very difficult journey for stockholders in this company. Although, if you timed this right, it did bottom out and it has had a huge run up from the bottom. Having said that, even with that big run up, this is still down way over 90%. Let's go right to the press release and see what's going on. Okay, Greenidge Generation restructures and significantly reduces secured debt. So secured debt, I think, is going to be a key term. We're going to look at that later. This is January 31st, 2023. So this is put out today. I'm going to read the highlights at the top of this. Greenidge restructured $76 million of secured debt with NYDIG, reducing obligations to $17 million with potential for additional $10 million reduction. So they have the potential to reduce that from $76 million all the way down to maybe $7 million if everything goes their way. In another note, Greenidge restructures the B. Riley $11 million promissory note, reducing cash obligations to $9 million, and they also defer a lot of their obligations in order to free up their cash flow over the next several months. Okay, enter a hosting agreement with NYDIG affiliate with gross profit sharing component to allow Greenidge to participate in potential Bitcoin price appreciation. They entered into this hosting agreement because they used to own a lot of machines that were secured by this loan. They had to give all those machines to the lender. So they will now only be hosting those machines. So they'll get paid for their hosting services. They'll get paid a management fee on top of that. And some type of profit sharing is what they're talking about here, although they don't disclose exactly what that means. But this was the vast majority of their machines that they had to give back. So you'll see the next line says they continue to own 10,000 miners with a capacity of 1.1 exahash. So the goal of all this is to get rid of the debt and debt servicing payments that were due imminently. So this is all about cash flow, as always with all these Bitcoin miners and really with every company. When you're in survival mode, it's about cash flow. In exchange for the extinguishment of this debt, they had to give them 2.8 exahash worth of machines. So, that's somewhere plus or minus 28 or 30,000 machines. Okay, so on the B. Riley debt, essentially B. Riley and Atlas Holding agreed to buy $1 million of Greenidge Class A common stock each. With the proceeds of that, Greenidge agreed to pay down the principal amount of the B. Riley note by $1.9 million. So I assume the rest of all that was closing fees because it's $2 million in shares that were purchased. So in exchange for that, no further principal or interest payments required to be made on the promissory note until June of 2023. So that buys them the first 5 months of the year, really, where they have no principal or interest due on this, and it allows them to try to get back into a situation where they will be able to service this debt. And they have several steps that they still have left to take where they're hoping to be able to do that. The next bullet point says Greenidge is actively pursuing the sale of excess real estate that would be subdivided from the property housing its mining facilities in South Carolina in order to apply such net proceeds to repay a portion of the promissory note. In the event that Greenidge repays a principal amount in excess of $6 million prior to June 20th, 23, the monthly loan payment commencing in June would be approximately $400,000 instead of the currently scheduled monthly amortization payments of $1.5 million. So that would save them another $1.1 million a month in principal and interest payments on that loan. So here you'll see under mining operations, as we discussed, Greenidge will continue to own approximately 10,000 miners with a capacity of approximately 1.1 exahash. So that is now who Greenidge is. I want to show you their balance sheet because essentially I really don't think they're going to be able to add to this for a long, long time. they still actually have not worked themselves all the way out of their debt problem. There's an awful lot of debt left, so I want to go look at that. This was their balance sheet as of September 30th, 2022. That was the most recent financial statements provided. So you're going to see at that time they had $54 million in current assets and they had $98 million in current liabilities. And a lot of that, $73 million of that, was the current portion of their long-term debt. So this is what they were looking to restructure and or get rid of. Now, they've accomplished getting rid of most of this current portion. We're going to take a look at their long-term debt because if you go down here, the long-term portion of their long-term debt is another $96 million. So they still have a lot of debt left over even after all this restructuring. If you go to footnote 7, this is a list of their debt. So you'll see this as of September 30th equaled $176 million. And the big piece of this that's not getting restructured is they have $72 million in bonds payable. So this is a good news, bad news situation. Yes, that still leaves them with $72 million in debt. However, that debt is not due until October of 2026, so that leaves them over 3 years before they have to start worrying about paying principal on that debt. However, they do have to pay 8.5% interest on that over the course of the next 3 years, so that will continue to be a drain on their cash flow. So like I said, they restructured a lot of their debt. This $74 million, we saw they restructured that way down, potentially all the way down to $7 million, and then this secured promissory note of $13 million, they've restructured, so they've reduced the amount of that and they've got to defer some of their payments. So this does help a lot, but this still does leave them with an awful lot of debt left over. The vast majority of which is the $72 million of 8.5% bonds. Okay, I just want to show you one statement from a press release they put out just over a month ago. This was on December 20th. Greenidge Generation executes a term sheet with secured lender NYDIG regarding debt renegotiations, and they provide a liquidity update. So at this time, they were executing a term sheet. They had not come to a final agreement. So this is the continuation of that. But in this report on December 20th, they said a lot of things that they did not repeat in the current report. So I just want to go through those. So they had a gigantic section in that press release called Additional Risk Factors. And they listed a lot of factors. The summary of all this I've highlighted, and it says, even if the company pays its debt outstanding to NYDIG, this may not be sufficient to address the company's liquidity requirements, and the company may nonetheless be required to pursue an in-court restructuring of its liabilities to address the claims of other lenders. Essentially, they're talking about a Chapter 11 there, and they do get more specific and directly talk about the potential to file Chapter 11 if they cannot restructure this. That was going to be their next course of action. Okay, so if we go back a little bit earlier in the year, this press release was put out on April 21st. So I just want to show you the trajectory that this company was on and the market cap that they used to be. This was back in April of 2022. So the part I want to read you is approximately 29,800 miners delivering from Bitmain during the remainder of 22, representing approximately 3.1 exahash of additional mining capacity, bringing the total pro forma capacity to approximately 4.7 exahash, because at that point they were already at 1.6 exahash. So they had already purchased machines and they were already scheduled to be delivered to get themselves to 4.7 exahash. That was the plan for 2022. So obviously that plan has changed, not only temporarily but permanently. They've had to give most of those machines over to their lender. They do still have 10,000 machines left, and I really don't see them necessarily adding any machines for a long time. Now, they're going to host the rest of those machines and do some type of profit participation. So if the price of Bitcoin goes up substantially, that may help this company get to where they're going. But to me, there is still a big question mark lingering over this company as to whether or not they are going to survive. If you look at this press release from December 20th, 2022, it's on their website. You'll see they go through a very long list talking about how there's a reasonable chance that they may not make it through this. This company in September of 2021, so that was a year and a half ago now, this was a $1.2 billion company. Even if we fast forward all the way to March 28th of 2022, that's when Bitcoin had its last nice rally up to about 48,000. This was a $480 million company. And again, it's now a $37 million company. So it is still down even 90%. just from late March of 2022. So most of the value has been sucked out of this company from a market cap standpoint. Their stock is very, very low. Okay, so this is our chart on the 1 week time frame. I just want to show you in the last really 6 weeks, they had a 3-week run a little bit back. This had gotten all the way down to 22 cents, and that was prior to them announcing that they were going to have the potential to restructure some of these loans. So this had gotten priced to basically a going out of business. At that point, this was down way over 99% from its 52-week high, and its 52-week high was nowhere near its all-time high, which was more like a year and a half ago. But you'll see in that 3 weeks after that announcement, this stock made a gigantic run up from 22 cents up to about $1.40. So that was a 524% run up. Now it has pulled back since then. So all of this still, even remember, even up this 540%, this was still down 97% from its all-time highs. If things were to go wrong, or if Bitcoin was to turn around, the next line of support for them is about 70% down from here. So this is one of those big risk-reward stocks. There's a gigantic risk to the downside and an even bigger risk, really, that they don't find a way to remain cash flow positive, and ultimately this potentially goes to something that resembles zero. On the flip side, if they could get back to where they were on March of 2022, that would represent a 1,369% price increase. Now, I don't think this is a realistic price target at all. I'm not saying that there are Bitcoin miners that won't have this type of run. I just think they have had to fundamentally change their business. They had to give back most of their Bitcoin miners. So I don't think this is a realistic price target. I do think there is upside from here if they can find a way to get through this cash crunch and get to the other side. This is an extremely, extremely volatile situation. That's all I got for you on GREE right now, so thank you for watching the video. Also, you're welcome to join the channel by hitting the join button on the YouTube page. We have members-only live streams every Tuesday after the market closes. We'll see you then, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.